Can you provide an update on the latest market access challenges faced by pulses into the Indian market?
Sure, and before we dive into some of those recent challenges that you refer to, I think it's important to look back on what has been happening and understand some of the context from India over the past couple years. So we know that India has a very strong mandate to double their farmers' income by the year 2022, and that will be achieved in part, in their mind, by obtaining self-sufficiency in pulse production. So India has attempted to raise prices offered to growers through a steady increase over the past few years of the minimum support price that is offered to growers for their pulses, and we've also seen that accompanied with increased restrictive import policy measures on pulses coming in from all origins. So as we know, we have tariffs on peas, chickpeas, and lentils. And we've also seen quantitative import restrictions on things like peas. And what this has done, as we all know, is severely decreased the amount of pulses that we send to India, which was historically our largest market. And specifically in peas, we've seen pea exports from Canada to India decrease by a significant margin, whereas with lentils, we've seen a bit of a resurgence in the volume that we send to India in this past year. And that brings us to now, where there's been calls by some domestically in India to further impede the flow of lentils coming in from all origins, including Canada. And we've also seen the increase of minimum support prices for lentils offered to growers in India. And then that brings us to some of the challenges that we are seeing now. And what these challenges are is heightened testing of pulses that are imported into India and uncertainty surrounding the application of plant quarantine requirements of these shipments in India. So in Canada, the CFIA inspects and certifies all grain that is shipped to India to ensure that it meets India's plant quarantine requirements. And right now, it's very uncertain as to how those plant quarantine requirements are being enforced in India. Although there's been no official notification given by the Government of India, the Government of Canada understands that it is a 100% inspection policy on lentils imported from all origins. And what is unclear is how things like weed seeds will be treated, even if they are weed seeds that do not appear on India's quarantine list and that are cited of concern in their plant quarantine requirements.
So what does this mean for the Canadian pulse industry?
Well, really, it's just added risk and uncertainty to a market that's seen a lot of it. And it's tough because we don't know how shipments will be treated once they land in India. So although we're seeing exciting opportunities by way of growth and diversification of new markets and new end uses for Canadian pulses, we need resolution in current markets like India and to these issues that we face in current markets like India. And we need to get back to a point where before a sale is made, we know what the regulatory requirements are in the end destination before the product reaches there. So here in Canada and in India, we're in discussions with and at the departmental and diplomatic level to find some clarity and resolution to this issue. And in addition to these bilateral talks, Pulse Canada is involved with an initiative being led by the Global Pulse Confederation, or the GPC, where they have partnered with groups in India to ensure that while India strives to meet some of these domestic policy goals, like increasing production of pulses in India and increasing consumption of pulses in India, that they do so in a predictable trading environment, and that one that allows us as a pulse exporting nation and other pulse exporting nations to be able to augment these domestic programs in India with imports when needed, and get back to a point when so that growers can make the best planting and marketing decisions.